Okay, we proceed with our next module on independent samples t-test using JASP. Okay, and in here, the parametric independent t-test, which is also known as student's t-test, is used to determine if there is a statistical difference between the means of two independent groups. Okay, where in this test requires a continuous dependent variable. So when you say continuous dependent variable, the variable is either in the interval or in the ratio level of measurement. Okay, and then we also have an independent variable comprising of two groups, meaning to say we have our independent variable or a categorical variable, and that is composed of two categories. Okay. Now here, independent samples t-test produces a t-score, okay, which is a ratio of the differences between the two groups and the differences within the two groups, and that is given by the following formula. Okay. Now, what does the t-value represent? Okay, a large t-score indicates that there is a greater difference between the groups. Or that is, the smaller the t-score or the t-value, the more similarity there will be between the groups. Oh, for example, a t-score of 5 would indicate that the groups are 5 times as different from each other as they are within each other. Okay, so that is how we give meaning to the value of t that we will be generating in JASP. Now, what are the designs, okay, or study designs wherein we can use independent samples t-test? So an independent samples t-test is often used to analyze the results of three different types of study design. First, if you would want to determine if there are differences between two independent groups. Okay, so say for example, between group A and group B, you would want to compare, let's say, their statistics grade. Okay, now another scenario. So you would want to determine if there are differences between interventions. Okay, so say for example, you have group A, which is or the female group, okay, and then you will have the male group. So the female group may be, let's say for example, you would want to compare their performance in a math test. Okay, wherein group A was taught using the lecture method, okay? And then group B was taught using or with the aid of computers, okay? And you give them a test, okay? And then do the comparison of their scores in the math test. Okay, so the two groups were exposed to two different interventions, okay? And you would want to compare differences, right? In their math score between the two interventions. Okay, another scenario or another design is that you would want to determine if there are differences in the change scores. So say, for example, I have group A wherein I'm going to give them a pre-test and a post-test. Okay, the same with group B, the same pre-test and post-test will be provided. And then how do I compute for the change scores? Let's say group A, I'm going to get the difference in their pre-test and post-test scores. Okay, so that would be the change scores of group A. I'll do the same with group B, wherein I'm also going to get the difference of their pre-test and post-test scores, and that would be the change scores of group B. And I will do the comparison of the change scores of the two groups. Okay. In these scenarios, we can use independent samples t-test provided that we have also met other assumptions for the use of this test. Okay. Now, what are the basic requirements or what are the assumptions, okay, we have to meet in order for us to use some independent samples t-test? Now, in order to run an independent samples t-test, there are basically 6 assumptions that are needed to be considered. Now, the first three would relate to your choice of your study design and the measurements or the nature of the data, okay, that you choose to make. Well, the second three assumptions would relate to the characteristics that you of the data that you actually collected. All right, so let's go over them one by one. Now, the first assumption is that you have one dependent variable, which is measured at the continuous level, meaning it is either in the interval or in the ratio level. Okay? And our second assumption, you have one independent variable, or what we refer to as your grouping variable, and that it is composed of two categories or two groups. Okay? And that they have to be independent of one another. It is also referred to as dichotomous variable. Okay? So say for example, male, female, right? Or let's say type of transportation, bus or car, okay? Or employment status, let's say employed or unemployed. So there are basically just two categories, okay, for your independent variable. All right. The third assumption is that there is what you call independence of observations, which means that there is no relationship between the observations in each group of the independent variable or between the groups themselves. To ensure that there is what you call independence of observations or there is no relationship between the observations in each group, we choose different set of participants or different elements belonging in the two groups. So meaning if an element would belong in group A, that particular element, okay, could not belong in group B at the same time. So we have two different groups. Okay. Now, the fourth assumption is that there is what you call no significant outliers. Okay. Here, due to the effect that outliers can have on your results, you have to choose whether to include these in your data when performing an independent samples t-test in JASP. Now, when you say outliers, we are referring to extreme values. Okay, so you may have values that are extremely high or extremely low. Okay, so you may want to deal with these outliers as they may distort the data that you have. Right? For the next assumption, there is now what you call your data should be, or your dependent variable should be approximately normally distributed for each group of your independent variable. Okay. Now, here, keep in mind, we are just approximating. Okay. Now, the independent samples t-test is considered robust to violations of normality. This means that some violations of this assumption can be tolerated and that the test will still provide valid results. Therefore, you will often hear of this test only requiring approximately normal data. Furthermore, we keep in mind that as sample size increases, the distribution can be very non-normal. Okay? Hence, we invoke the central limit theorem, okay, that the independent samples t-test can still provide valid results, okay, especially if you have computed for or you have met the minimum sample size required for your data, okay, and we are simply just approximating the normality of your distribution, okay. Now, the last assumption is that there is what you call homogeneity of variances. Okay, that means the variance is equal in each group of your independent variable. Now, here, the assumption for homogeneity of variances states that the population variance for each group of your independent variable is the same. If the sample size in each group is similar, violation of this assumption is not often too serious. However, okay, problems may arise, okay, when the sample sizes in the two groups of your independent variable are quite different. Okay, the independent samples t-test is sensitive to the violation of this assumption. Hence, we need to test for homogeneity of variances by using Levene's test for homogeneity or for equality of variances. Now, the question would be, what do we have to do when we have violated the assumption for homogeneity of variances? So we're going to show that in our demonstration later on how to run independent samples t-test using JASP. Okay, now let's take this for example. All right, say you would want to compare the mean salary of males and females. Okay, so your dependent variable would be salary, which is basically what you measured in the two groups. Okay, so you wish to compare that, okay, between the male and the female categories. So meaning you can take the mean of the dependent variable or salary in the male group and in the female group and use independent samples t-test to compare them. Okay? Now, how do we formulate our null and alternative hypothesis. Okay? And the null hypothesis for independent samples t-test is that the population means of the two groups are equal. Okay? And correspondingly, the alternative hypothesis is that the population means of the two groups are not equal. Okay? Well, you can also rephrase the hypothesis that we have here to reflect differences between means, okay, which you see in the two statements that we have here below. Now, for our use in the university, okay, we formulate our null hypothesis following the this particular template or this format. That is, we say that there is no significant difference, okay, then you state here your dependent variable between group 1 and group 2 of your independent variable, right? Now, correspondingly, the alternative hypothesis would indicate that there is a significant difference in your dependent variable, okay, between the two groups of your independent variable, right? Now, here, an independent samples t-test will calculate what we refer to as significance level or the p-value. So we will be generating the p-values in your JASP, okay, which is the probability of your sample group means being at least as different as you found in your study, given that the null hypothesis is indeed true. Okay, so we will have two scenarios for the p-values that we have. All right? We keep in mind that our level of significance is at 0.05. Okay. So we compare the generated p-value in JASP. If that is less than 0.05, our decision is to reject. Okay, take note, we reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, we conclude using our alternative hypothesis. Meaning, if the p-value is less than 0.05, we conclude that there is a significant difference. Correspondingly, if the p-value is greater than 0.05, our decision is not to reject the null hypothesis. Okay? That means to say, we are going to conclude that there is no significant difference. Okay, take note. We cannot say that we're going to accept the null hypothesis. Take note of that. Remember, it is not the sample means but it's the population means that the hypothesis tests are referring to. So we could not say accept the null hypothesis. But the correct statistical term that we have to use when the p-value is greater than 0.05 is do not reject the null hypothesis. Okay? Now, let me include what we refer to as effect size. Okay, so we need effect sizes, okay, to see or to indicate or to look deeper into the practical significance of the result. Now, what is an effect size? An effect size is a standard measure that can be calculated from any number of statistical analysis. If the null hypothesis is rejected, the result is significant. And this significance only evaluates the probability, okay, of obtaining the sample outcome by chance, but it does not indicate how big a difference or what we call the practical significance would be, nor can it be used to compare across different studies. Okay? Hence, here, the effect size indicates the magnitude of the difference between the groups. Okay, so for independent samples t-test is a comparison of means test. Okay, the effect size that we're going to use is Cohen's d. So we have the following scores, okay, or effect sizes that we can refer to. If the effect size or Cohen's d is less than 0.2, then we say the effect size is trivial. If it is between 0.2 and 0.5, the effect is small. If it is between 0.5 and 0.8, the effect is medium. And if it is greater than 0.8, okay, or 0.8 and above, we take the effect size to be large. So we will use Cohen's d, okay, to determine the effect size of the results in the independent samples t-test. Okay? We will refer to this table again once we will deal with correlation, with regression, ANOVA, and chi-square test. Okay. Now, in our case, for the learning tasks that we will have in our class and also in our exam, Okay, given the JASP result, how are we going to proceed with the statistical hypothesis testing procedure? So first things first is state the null and the alternative hypothesis. And then we identify our variables for independent samples t-test. We identify the dependent and then the independent variables. Okay. Then we indicate the statistical test to be used. Okay. So for now, we have independent samples t-test, and then include all the JASP outputs that are needed to be included in order to arrive to the correct analysis, okay, or interpretation of the result. And of course, we come up with our conclusion. So we will follow these 5 steps, okay, and our hypothesis testing when we are generating or using JASP, okay? Sige. Now, here, right, going back to our data, okay, on independent t-test.csv. So I will be presenting a separate video on how to run. I will be demonstrating how to run independent t-test in JASP. Okay. And to give us a background of what the independent t-test.csv file is about, it contains weight loss in terms of kilograms on a self-controlled 10-week diet between men and women. In this example, we indicate, or we would want to answer the following problem. That is there a significant difference in the mean weight loss between men and women? Okay, so the first step is we formulate our hypothesis. We indicate there is no significant difference in the mean weight loss between men and women. And correspondingly, our alternative hypothesis, we indicate that there is a significant difference in the mean weight loss between men and women. Then, for the second part, we identify the variables. Our independent variable is sex, okay, or gender. And we have 2 categories we have identified to be male and female. Our dependent variable is weight loss in terms of kilograms. Okay? Now, running the independent samples t-test using JASP, okay? So in that video, okay, we are going to proceed with the process of running independent samples t-test, okay? Here, we transfer weight loss in the dependent variable, and then gender will be in our grouping variable. Now, these are the things that we need to include in our analysis. So in the analysis window, we take the following options. These are explained in detail, okay, in that video, wherein I'm demonstrating how to run independent samples detail. All right. Once you refer to that short video clip on how to run independent samples t-test in JASP, okay, you may refer back to this discussion, okay, so that you'll have a better understanding of the JASP output that you have generated, okay? Now, the output should consist of 4 tables and 1 graph. Firstly, we need to look at first the assumptions, okay? Here, we look at the test of normality result, okay, or the Shapiro-Wilks test, okay? Now, we refer to our p-value. Now, we take note, if the p-value is greater than 0.05, then meaning to say, the assumption for normality is not violated. In our case, our p-value is 0.829, which is indeed greater than 0.05. So, we have not violated the normality assumption. All right? In this case here, Shapiro-Wilk test shows that weight loss have normally distributed data. Okay, therefore, the assumption for normality is not violated. Okay? Now, here, you may consider to use the non-parametric equivalent Mann-Whitney test if the p-value is less than 0.05. Okay? However, keep in mind, the independent samples t-test is robust to certain violations of normality. Hence, some violation of this assumption can be tolerated, and the test will still provide valid results, especially if you have met the minimum sample size required. Okay? So you may opt to use independent samples t-test as it is robust to certain violations of normality, given or provided that you have met the minimum sample size required. Okay? Now, we look at the test of equality of variances table, Okay, which is the Levene's test, which shows that there is no difference in the variance. Therefore, the assumption of homogeneity of variance is not violated, which is found here because the p-value that we have generated is greater than 0.05. The p-value we have is 0.135. If that is greater than 0.05, then the assumption of homogeneity of variance is not violated. Okay, however, if the Levene's test was significant, meaning the p-value is less than 0.05, okay, Welsh adjusted t-statistic, degrees of freedom, and p-value should be reported, okay, which is found in this next slide here. Okay, so remember, in our independent samples t-test table, okay, we have two rows, right? The first row represents the student t-test. The second row represents the Welsh t-statistic. Okay, this table shows two computed t-statistics. We have student and Welsh. Remember, the t-statistic is derived from the mean difference divided by the standard error of the difference. Both show, in this case, both would indicate that the p-value is less than 0.001. And then the Cohen's d is also represented. Okay, now, going back, since our Levene's test for equality of variances is not violated, so we will refer to the values in the first row since the assumption of homogeneity of variance is not violated. That is, we take the values coming from the student t statistic. Okay? However, if the assumption of homogeneity is variance is violated, then take the values in the second row represented by Welsh t statistic. Okay? Now, looking at this one, look at the p-value. Okay, to decide whether to reject or not to reject the null hypothesis, refer to the p-value. So the p-value that we have is basically less than 0.001. Okay, now if the p-value is greater than 0.05, decision, do not reject the null. But if the p-value is less than 0.05, then reject the null hypothesis. Going back to our result, okay, the p-value is less than 0.001. Obviously, it is less than 0.05. Then, decision is to reject the null hypothesis. Rejecting the null hypothesis would mean to say that we are going to take the alternative hypothesis indicating that there is a significant difference. So we keep that in mind. We will come up with our conclusion later on. Of course, we will not forget our descriptive table and then the graphical presentation. From the descriptive data, it can be seen that the females had a higher weight loss than males. As what we indicated earlier, the females had a mean weight loss of 6.929 kilograms. The males have a mean weight loss of 3.72 kilograms. Now, comparing the two, the female group had a higher weight loss. And as per our previous slide, we indicated that indeed there is a significant difference between the two. So meaning the females have significantly higher weight loss as compared to the male group. Okay, now let's put that together, okay, in our conclusion. Okay, because here visually, it does look like that there's a real difference between the groups. Okay, hence it is to be supported by our independent samples t-test table result. And indeed, there is a significant difference. Reporting, we indicate that an independent samples t-test was used to compare the weight loss between males and females. There was a significant difference in the weight loss between males, and we include the mean and standard deviation for the male group, and the females would have this mean weight loss and the mean standard and the standard deviation. Then we include the parameters. Okay, T of the degrees of freedom 85 is equal to 6.16, wherein the p-value is less than 0.001. Now we give meaning to this result. Okay, results showed that females, because comparing female had a higher mean weight loss compared to the male group. So that means to say that the females lost significantly more weight over the 10 weeks of dieting than males, with a mean difference of, so we include also the mean difference, which is found in the independent samples t-test table. And then, of course, don't forget to include Cohen's d, which we have generated to be 1.322. And comparing this to our table, this is greater than zero point 0.8 for the large effect. Okay, this suggests that this is a large effect. Okay, so I hope everything is clear, right? And here are the list of references which you may refer to on how to do analysis using dependent samples t-test using JASP. Okay, so this is the end of my discussion.